Good evening, 7th grade parents, and welcome to the park. Today, we are going to have an informational meeting to let you know everything that you need to know for the STAAR exam this spring. So the first thing I want to do is welcome you. Thank you for taking the time to log in and hear the important information that you and your child need to know before our first 7th grade exam, which will be on Tuesday, April 27th. But I want to go ahead, first of all, and introduce my fellow hosts. So we have Mr. Ellsworth, one of our assistant principals. We have Dr. Ramos, our campus testing coordinator. And we have Ms. Reyes, who is one of our 7th grade ELAR teachers. And I also want to give a special recognition to Mr. Zermeño, our library aide, who is behind the scenes and who helped us put this meeting together. So again, parents, welcome to the park. It is such an opportunity for me to be able to meet with you in a kind of live virtual setting. I thought it was important for us to give you some important tips, some do's and don'ts, and answer any questions that you might have as you were to send your child to test this spring semester. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our campus testing coordinator, Dr. Ramos, who will begin reviewing our testing schedule. Dr. Ramos?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Okay, so the first STAAR coming up is our 7th grade writing, and that's Tuesday, April 27th. That is on Tuesday. So the next, it's in orange because you only have to come to one math. So for those of you that have advanced math, you either have Duran or you have Miss Villegas. Your STAAR date is Tuesday, May 18th. For everyone else, it is May 25th, and that is just for math. Again, you only have to come to one, and that's why it's in orange. You do not have to test for math twice. And then our STAAR reading date is Thursday, May 27th. Okay, thank you, Mr. Z. Okay, so looking at our next slide. So of course, as you know, STAAR has not been canceled this year. Federal and state law does require that everyone test this year, all 1,202 school districts. So due to logistical constraints, as you know, it is an in-person test. We cannot do it remotely or at home. So due to COVID, TEA did try to help us out. And what they did was they offered a very large window for us to test, just so that we can try to test instead of having everyone test at once or 3 grade levels at one time. We do have a very large window, so we can try to, and that's what we did, is try to test one test and 1 grade level at a time. All right, thank you, Mr. Z. Okay, so our next slide. So school systems who offer remote instruction are required to take steps, and that's what we're doing tonight, to encourage students to come and take the STAAR. And like I said, we did adjust our testing environment for safety, and Mr. Ellsworth will go through that tonight with you. And again, outreach to the parents, and that's what we're doing tonight. Try to get any questions that you have and try to answer those. So if you're not participating in STAAR, I did have a lot of questions about this for grades 3 through 8. It will not affect promotion or retention or even summer school. Those different things are looked at when looking at summer school. So that's one thing to keep in mind. However, it's important to note that the parents and the teacher, we won't know where your child is at. We won't have any data, and we didn't have any data last year as well. So data is really important just simply because it helps gauge, like I said, where your child is at academically, so we can either give them more support or even try to challenge your child. So here at the park, we are offering students the opportunity to test in a safe environment. And like I said, Mr. Ellsworth will go over that. Okay, Mr. Z? So like I said, there's no cumulative data, no state assessment for 2019, 2020, and of course this year. And data provides our campus with a place to begin, as I mentioned earlier. And students may lose out on out on an elective opportunity next year in order to receive support for STAAR exams. Next year, they are having a accelerated class or instruction for students who either failed the STAAR or we don't have any STAAR data. It's really hard to know where to place your child if we do not have that data, if we don't know where they're at. And the STAAR is that one measurement that is the same throughout the state. And I know some people say, well, why can't you just look at grades? Why can't we look at, different things? But some teachers are much more strict than others, so it's not a really good tool to use. And that's why that STAAR, like I said, is that one measurement that's the same from here, Abilene, Texas, and throughout the entire state. All right, so Mr. Ellsworth is going to go through the next slides and just kind of go over some of the safety precautions that we have on campus.
All right, thank you, Dr. Ramos. So we do take safety very seriously. We do this every day with our students that are coming face to face, and they're very used to the process. But anytime someone comes onto our campus, whether they're a student or a faculty member, actually anybody that comes on the campus, we always screen them, and that involves a couple of things. The first is we do a temperature check to make sure that they don't have a temperature over 100 degrees. Second thing is we ask them a couple of questions. Do they have any new symptoms that might be related to COVID, or have they been around anybody who's been infected with COVID? The other thing that we're asking parents to do is, and this is something we ask you to do every day if they come to campus, is to pre-screen. If your child is showing any symptoms of being sick, we're asking for them to stay home. And yes, we know it's a testing day, but we can figure out a makeup for that, okay? But if they're sick, we'd rather they stay home, get well, and then that way when they do get better, they can come and test and be successful on it. The students will also be sitting 6 feet apart at all times. They'll be socially distanced. They will have dividers around their desk as well. And we are asking all the students to wear a mask at all times. The only times they wouldn't wear the mask is if they're eating lunch or breakfast during that time, but they'll still be behind the dividers. We will offer hand sanitizer for all the students as they arrive on the campus. We ask all the students to bring their own mask. We're not allowing any gaiters, so we ask them to bring their masks. Breakfast and lunch will be provided, and Dr. Reyna has also worked it out so we can provide snacks as well. There will be regular bus routes for those of you that qualify for the transportation, and we will post those on our Facebook, and we'll send out the routes again for those of you that might not remember the times and locations, but we will send those out, so it will be available for you at the regular times. And so you can come in the morning on the bus. If your child is a remote student and they come on the bus in the morning and they need to ride the bus home, then they're going to have to stay all day long, and we'll kind of go over that, what that's going to look like when they come to campus. Okay, Mr. Z, next slide. The day of the test, like I mentioned, we are asking them to wear a mask while they're on district property. We are also to kind of liven it up a little bit, and we want the kids to finish strong this year. So we're going to let them wear their favorite superhero shirt. We don't want any costumes, just the shirt, please. And then they can wear jeans as well, as long as the jeans don't have any holes in them. Okay, so 7th grade students on the 7th grade test can wear that to kind of show support and make sure they're ready for that test. We want all the students to arrive by 8 a.m. for the health screening. That's when we're going to start letting the kids in and screen them and get them into their testing locations. If they ride the bus, we'll screen them in the back of the campus where the bus students are dropped off. If they are being dropped off by parents, we want you to be dropped off in the front by Nova Way near the main lobby, and that's where we'll be screening you, and we'll have ends and other markings on the floor outside for us to make sure they stay socially distanced while we get them through that screening process. If they have to stay for the entire 4 hours, so even if they finish the test after 2 hours, we're not going to allow students to leave the testing locations, and that has to do with interrupting the test or affecting other students as kids are getting up and down and doors opening and closing. So we want the kids to take their time to do their very best on this test. Like Dr. Ramos said, we use a lot of this information to help us make better decisions on how we can help your children, and that's one of the reasons why we think it's very important important that they show up. Okay. If once that 4 hours is over, if they're a remote student, so they normally have classes at home, then they will be allowed to leave if a parent comes and picks them up. We ask you that you bring a driver's license with you, so we can properly ID you. And then we also ask you to put the name and ID on a piece of paper in your windshield, and that'll help speed up the process of dismissal time. So that way when you pull up, we do it every day when we dismiss right now, but when you pull up, we look at the name, we call it out on the radio, so that way they're already getting the kid to come out while we're checking and verifying your ID, and then that way they can get in the car and drive away really quickly, and we can get the next car in to get the next student. Those of you that walk to campus who are remote students, you will not be allowed to walk home after the completion of the test. You will have to wait until 4 o'clock, and that has to do with a liability issue, okay? So if you're a remote student who's coming to test, you will test it in your location. We'll have those where you're going to test. We'll post those as you're walking in the door, so you know. But once you finish, you'll kind of be staying in a hub setting where you'll be able to log into your classes after the test. Okay. After that, I think that's pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Reyna. Sorry, Miss Reyes. Sorry, Miss Reyes.
Good afternoon, parents. I'm Ms. Reyes. I'm a reading teacher here at Parkland. First of all, I just wanted to let you know that we are really thankful for all the effort and support you give us, and your children too as well. The hard work doesn't go unnoticed. I just wanted to let you know that the test is revising and editing. It is going to be multiple choice, and they are going to do an expository essay, which we've prepared this by bell ringers, independent practice, group work, escape rooms, which they had a lot of fun with. As me and my colleagues, my 7th grade RLA teachers, we feel really confident that they'll do really well, and that they're gonna apply the skills that they've learned throughout this year, and that they're ready. And just a few reminders to give your children: get a good night rest, eat breakfast, and just think positively. I know that they can do it, and they shouldn't be nervous. Thank you.
And I just want to take this opportunity to thank Ms. Reyes for being here. She's representing the 7th grade Reading Language Arts department, and that is one of our departments who's responsible for preparing our 7th graders as they move up to 8th grade next year. We also have our 7th grade math team who's been working extremely hard to prepare our 7th grade students surrounding math concepts as they also look to move to 8th grade. So remember, parents, as 7th graders, your children are going to be taking 3 exams. They're going to be taking reading, they're going to be taking writing, and they're going to be taking math. So again, I want to thank them so much. We also have some students that are taking 7th grade advanced math, but those students will be taking the 8th grade test. So we will make sure that the math teacher is communicating with you through Google Classroom, letting you know exactly what test your child will be taking, and your children should already know their test date. But I just want to thank them for all of the hard work that they've been doing this year, as it's been very challenging with the COVID situation, but I can assure you that doing walkthroughs with our teachers and speaking with our teachers and planning with our teachers, they have done so much behind the scenes to make sure that your children are ready to take the STAAR exam. So if there's any particular questions that you have, please feel free to type them into the chat box at this time. And we do have our 2 assistant principals, Ms. Basan and Ms. Pichardo, in the background answering your questions as you have them. And if later on you think of a particular question that we haven't answered, you can always visit this site that we have provided on this slide. This is a district site that provides district-related information regarding current testing. So if you want a district policy or guideline as it pertains to safety or anything like that, you can visit this website. But if you have a specific question that's campus-related, something that maybe we already covered but you're not clear on, please feel free to type your question into the chat. We're going to do our very best to answer all questions at this time. And I know many of you are going to be watching this as a recording. So right now we are live using the StreamYard application, but some of you might not be able to watch it live, and you're watching this right now as a recording. All teachers will receive this link, all 7th grade teachers, tomorrow morning, and we'll be posting this link in the Google Classroom. So you can always go back and rewatch. And if you have a question at that time and you really want an answer and you want to either email us or have our phone numbers, I think that's on the very next slide. Mr. Z, can you change the slide? And so there's our information. You have my email. It's super easy, arena@ysd.net. And then you have my direct phone number. Mr. Ellsworth's information. You have our 2 assistant principal information there. And of course, Dr. Ramos, our campus testing coordinator. But if there's any question or anything that you want clarified before Tuesday's exam, because remember, the first exam will be on Tuesday for writing. So 7th graders will be coming 3 different times, and the first time will be on Tuesday. So that test is coming up pretty quick. If there's something that you want answered, please do not hesitate to email us. We are more than happy to assist you with any questions that you may have. It's really important that your child comes to take the exams for all the reasons that Dr. Ramos gave at the beginning of the presentation. However, we do understand, as some of you do have a safety concern or a health concern, we are going to respect and support that decision as well. But like I said, if you right now answered on the survey, no, I'm not sending my child, and after this presentation feel a little bit better, there's no need to contact the school. You just send your child on testing day, because we are going to have a seat for every single 7th grader, whether they answered yes or no on the survey. So we encourage you to send your children, and they'll be in very good hands while they are with us. So I think at this time, our assistant principals are answering questions. And so that's pretty much the end of our presentation of the information that we wanted to share. And so this is the Q&A portion. If you want to go ahead and type those in the chat, then we'll make sure that our assistant principals do answer those questions. And let me see. I'm just making sure that they're being answered. And Mr. E, if you see any questions or anything that we need to clarify on, will you let me know as well?
Just one thing I wanted to add, make sure that you guys bring your charged Chromebook with you. If your computer is broken or something's wrong, we do have extra, but we don't have a lot of extra in store. So make sure you come with your charged computer as well as your charger, so that we can plug it in. We will have, and I think it's called surge protectors in the room. So we will have that available in case you do need to charge it.
Yeah, there was just some questions in the Ms. Basan and Ms. Pichardo have been answering about the dress code. And yes, if your child doesn't have a superhero shirt, that's fine. Then you don't have to go buy one. They can come in free dress guidelines, which need to follow the dress code, meaning no tears in the pants, nothing that's inappropriate, those kind of things. We understand, the remote students may not have a school uniform. That's fine. The free dress guidelines that we normally used to have are okay, just nothing inappropriate.
And I think we had some questions about the schedule for students who are not testing. So because, like Dr. Ramos said, because we are going to have such an extended testing window, and this is the first time that we've ever had our STAAR tests organized in this structure. Normally, we test all of our grade levels one day reading, all of our grade levels one day math. And so this is going to be a little bit of a different situation. So if you have a 6th grader or an 8th grader who is a student here at my campus, they will still, they will have an asynchronous assignment. So they are still logging in and making sure that they're doing those assignments. They have to log in to every single class period, 6th grade students and 8th grade students, so that the teacher can take attendance, but then they'll be released to take their asynchronous assignments or do their asynchronous assignments independently at home. Okay. For 7th grade students, once they complete the exam, we're going to be transitioning to the last 2 periods of the day. So if they're already a face-to-face student, then those students will be released back into the classrooms, and they'll go ahead and transition with their with their teachers for 9th and 10th period. If they're a student who normally is a remote learner, and we understand that we have to go through the process of pickup, there'll be an asynchronous assignment in the Google Classroom that they can complete at a later time. So our main concern is to get your kiddos here to test on campus and then get them picked up safely by you. And so we don't want you to have to rush home to have them log in at a particular time. Please, parents, don't worry about that. We just want to make sure that the kids come to school, take the test, and we want them to do well and not have that stress. So we will work with you on that. Just make sure that they check their Google Classrooms for their assignments to make sure that they complete anything towards the end of the day. They will not be responsible for completing any asynchronous assignments for any class periods throughout the school day because they are STAAR testing. So they won't be responsible for those assignments. Okay, so that's basically what we have for you, parents. Again, if you have any additional questions, please feel free to email, again, myself, areina@ysd.net, or ask, have your children have your students ask their teachers, or you can also send a direct message to any one of your teachers through Google Classroom or through the Remind Class Dojo, whatever application that the teacher uses to communicate with you. I wanted to talk a little bit really quick before we hang up about, and I know a parent asked about cell phones. Yes, parents, we do, we would like you to send your child with their cell phone if they are allowed to have one. And we will allow students to use their cell phones to call you once the 4 hours are over to let you know that you can come and pick them up. Like Dr. Ramos said, we are going to be providing lunch. However, it is not mandatory that the students stay here for lunch. If you want to pick them up as soon as the test is over and take them to have lunch off campus, then that would be something that would be your decision, and that's fine. But we will allow students to bring their cell phones. Now, while they are taking the exam, we will have them turn off their cell phones, and they will have to be turned in, just like any other year, they will have to be turned in to the test administrator. And probably one of the most important things, parents, before we end the meeting, like Dr. Ramos said, please make sure your child charges his or her Chromebook before testing day. We really need to make sure they're coming with a fully charged Chromebook. Also, if your child is having any Chromebook issues, we need to get those addressed immediately. So please, again, if you have any Chromebook issues and your child is testing on Tuesday, please make sure that your child reaches out to Coach Serrano, our ITS teacher, or you call the campus at 434-6300 so that we can make sure that your child has a working computer on the day of the test. All of our tests are pretty much online now from now on, so this is just the new routine that we have to get used to, making sure our computers are working and that they are fully charged. All right, so I think that's pretty much all we have right now. I know the assistant principals are doing their best to answer all the questions that you may have. Again, parents, thank you so much for joining us. Again, all the support that you've given to our campus throughout this school year does not go unnoticed. Our students would not be successful without you at home supporting all of their efforts. And I just want to give a shout out to all of my teachers, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and my leadership team. Everyone really has been working so hard behind the scenes, especially during this challenging school year. So I do want to thank all of you. I know our kids are going to finish strong. We believe in them. It's been great seeing kids, a little bit more kids come back each and every day to campus. And we look forward to the day when we can welcome 100% of our kids back to the park. So thank you, parents. Thank you to my hosts, Ms. Reyes, Dr. Ramos, and Mr. E. Thank you, Mr. Z, for helping us set up this presentation. And thank you, Ms. Pichardo and Ms. Basan and Coach Serrano, who I see also is answering questions in the chat. Parents, just a reminder that we will have a copy of this recording in all Google Classrooms for 7th grade teachers tomorrow morning. So thank you and have a great night.